All right, today we're going to be giving our opinion and review of Goat Simulator 3. I did not play Goat Simulator and I knew this third one, which is actually the second one. I knew it would be silly, but I didn't quite know what I'd get myself into. But for what it is, first I should mention that it's actually what kind of game it is. It's a sandbox, like, it's not really it's just a sandbox game where you run around, you complete like little objectives, you find collectibles. There is a story, but the story itself is not the except for the conclusion. It's not really the shining like star or the focus here. It's a sandbox game. Think about it as like an Assassin's Creed game, but you're a goat and you go around and you're trying to create as much mayhem as possible, basically. And that is what I did in my playthrough. I played this game for about 20 hours or close to 20 hours, 18 hours, longer than I expected, but I was also trying to complete everything. And I will say that I had a good time with it. There are some things about it that get pretty stale fast, but for what you're doing and for what the game is and for how creative and how many Easter eggs there are a lot, by the way. The game itself is pretty entertaining. If you like sandbox games and you like funny stuff that doesn't take itself serious, you will probably have a good time with this game. It is not for everybody. It's not really that difficult. Like some of the challenges you have to do, or can do, I should say, because if you do challenges, you gain like what's called instinct, and the instinct can be used to unlock costumes or like gear, you could call it. Some of those little instincts can be a little challenging, but as far as the story itself and most of the quest, it's not too complicated. It does not hold your hand very much, by the way. So if you're trying to do some of the instincts or whatever, you you could be blindly walking around looking for where it needs to be done, but it does do a good job at letting you know if you're in an area where an instinct can be done, aka a challenge. So if you're trying to complete all of those without using a guide, you might have to run around the map some. It does do a good job too at letting you know if some of the instincts require gear and which gear they are, if you already have that gear. Now, if you don't have the gear, then you're going to be kind of SOL. So essentially, you need to be paying attention to your HUD to see if there's an instinct nearby. The gameplay itself, again, the loop is just basically you going around. On the map, you can make waypoints. You can see what quests are nearby. It lets you know what quests are nearby, the ones you haven't done. You can knock those out. The map is pretty decent. The game itself, overall, like there's really nothing. It did have a couple of bugs. I got stuck, but it's easy to respawn. It doesn't really break anything. I guess they figured, in a game like this, you're going to get stuck because you can get under the map pretty easily. But it's not a big deal at all. There was nothing that stuck out to me that I wish was different because I knew what I was getting myself into in a way. Like I knew it was going to be a silly time. I just didn't know how silly. The ending itself, it is worth playing the story. You don't even need to complete the story if you don't want to, but it is worth doing the story because the ending is pretty pretty hilarious. If you're a gamer, you will like the ending and what you're doing. I'm not going to say anything if you haven't. I feel like this game is going to be you're either really going to love it or you're not. Like it's hard to find a middle ground. Me, I guess I am the middle ground. I should take that back because I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it. Clearly, I played through the whole thing and did almost everything I think you can do. But I am a kind of a grinder. I like doing these kind of things anyway. So maybe that's me. Like if I wasn't trying to get all the trophies and stuff, then maybe I wouldn't have played it as long as I did. I'm not quite sure. But with that being said, the game is a good time. I do wish that maybe not that it was more difficult, but I wish there was more kinds of actions the goat can do. But again, it's a goat, and you're wearing like hats and backpack, like things on your back that can do things for you. But I just wish it was more like challenging, like combat-y kind of things. But that's not what this game is. Again, it's just a sandbox. Like, see what you can do, what kind of trouble you can get in, etc. And it's a good time for that. It's a lighthearted game. A very adult game though, believe it or not, but it is a lighthearted game. There's a lighthearted game. There are some like inside adult jokes. But if I would have to give this game a score, which I always say, I would have to give this game a 7. And that's because for what it is, it does the job. It stands out in a couple areas. Like I said, the ending and some of the like Easter eggs are really a nice touch. But I don't think this is a game you can sit there and play because I did. And you can sit there and play for like 4 or 5 hours straight. You might get bored. Me personally, you might not. But if I was, if someone came to me and said, "Hey man, I'm looking for a really like cheesy, funny like sandbox, or like I just want to do whatever I want to do, like just it's a world is my oyster kind of game," I would say, "Well, have you tried Goat Simulator 3?" So, but that's pretty much my opinion on this game. Again, a 7 out of 10, not a bad score at all. Definitely, they should be proud of this game. Coffee Stain, and if you are looking for a funny time, Goat Simulator's for you.